Hello, my name's Amy Todd. I'm 26 years old and I've decided to spearhead this campaign to petition and lobby the government for more funding for mental health services. I've experienced mental health myself over the past 7 years. It started when I was at university. I started to get quite low, but my main issue that I have that affects me on a daily basis to this day still is anxiety. I have generalised anxiety disorder, which means that unlike some people where they kind of get triggers over certain things, unfortunately I'm quite anxious most of the time. And the way it manifests for me on a daily basis is claustrophobia. I find it very difficult to get transport, whether that's flying or a bus. I don't get the underground and I can't do lifts and things like that. But I am quite susceptible to burnout and stress. When I'm very anxious, I just feel like I can't breathe all the time. I get very bad social anxiety when I'm in meetings and things. It's really hard to explain, but it's a very physical kind of manifestation of anxiety. I get sweaty, I feel like I can't breathe, my breathing becomes very shallow, I get headachy and I often feel like I'm going to faint. I usually feel like this probably collectively a couple of hours of every day. It's absolutely draining, and it's also terrifying. For a long time I couldn't separate myself from that and rationalise. I just felt like something was seriously wrong. I'd have to leave meetings. It was really embarrassing. I just had to walk up and leave, and I just felt like the stress of having to try and pull myself out of it and try again the next day was really tough. I've always sought support for my issues. I've always been very open about it. My employers have always known, my friends have always known, my family's always known. I welcome talking about mental health. I think that's important. And I don't want this to downgrade the work that other mental health campaigns do when it comes to stigma and awareness. I think that's really important, but isn't what this campaign is about. This campaign came about because I saw the amazing work that they were doing when it came to stigma and awareness, and in light of some recent kind of high profile celebrity suicides that we've had recently, and felt that there was an elephant in the room, and what wasn't being discussed was how people get access to these services and the provision that the NHS provides, which just isn't adequate. One of my issues is that funding for mental health isn't ring-fenced by the NHS, which means that that money can then be plugged to other places in the NHS that need that support. I think it's very important that we prioritise mental health spending. I think we know how widespread mental health is, with 1 in 4 adults experiencing it in their lifetime. But I think that a lot more funding needs to go into early mental health, especially when it comes to diagnosis, and I'm talking about that first or second time you go to a GP and you tell them what your problem is, through to potentially getting a diagnosis and then being referred to a mental health specialist to get the support that you need, whether that's CPT or psychotherapy or the kind of talking therapies. I think for me that's been the main issue that I've struggled with. I've been diagnosed, I've been told that I need certain services like psychotherapy to be able to get the help that I need, but then the waiting lists are insane. I've been on a waiting list now for Southwark talking therapies to gain access to psychotherapy that I've been told that I need for at least 8 months. And then previous to that, I went to a private mental health care fund, which really was too expensive. I couldn't afford it. It was about £200 a month. And again, they were so strapped for appointments and things that they could only fit me in when I studied my masters on an evening. So that wasn't ideal either. And really, the feeling that you are struggling on a daily basis, it takes so much effort for you to kind of reset yourself, try again the next day, try and battle against some of those things that you find difficult. You know, like I said, I find transport difficult, you know, so sometimes it takes a lot out of me to kind of get on that train. But I do it, but that takes a lot of effort for me to do that. And it's scary and it's tiring. And you need the support. And, you know, I'm in a great position where I have support from my family, from work, from friends. I'm very lucky, and I realise how privileged I am to have that, which is why my issue isn't about stigma and taboo. My issue is about how can we get that support from the diagnosis, from your GP. So you want someone to listen, someone to take you seriously. You want the waiting list to be shorter so you can access the support that you need. And it's that long-term support. We need more funding in early intervention stages. It's not when people hit crisis point. By that point, it's too late. They've suffered for such a long time. And we don't want to be firefighting and helping people when they're just at the crisis point. We want to stop and prevent people from hitting that crisis point. And the way to do that is to fund more early care interventions there. Thanks.